Whoops, wrong slide. Now pay attention. Donnie Yen. Born July 27, 1963, Guangzhou, China. Donnie Yen Jidan is a Hong Kong actor, martial artist, and action director. Regarded as one of Hong Kong's top action stars, Yen is widely credited for bringing mixed martial arts into mainstream Asian cinema by choreographing MMA in many of his films since the early 2000s. Jackie Chan. Born April 7, 1954, Victoria Peak, Hong Kong. Jackie Chan, originally Chan Kong Sing, Hong Kong-born Chinese stuntman, actor, and director whose perilous acrobatic stunts and engaging physical humor made him an action film star in Asia and helped to bring kung fu movies into the mainstream of American cinema. Bruce Lee. Born November 27, 1940, Chinese Hospital, San Francisco, California, United States. Died July 20, 1973, Kowloon Tong, Hong Kong. Bruce Lee was a Hong Kong and American martial artist, actor, philosopher, and filmmaker. He was the founder of Jeet Kune Do, a hybrid martial arts philosophy drawing from different combat disciplines that is often credited with paving the way for modern mixed martial arts. Brandon Lee. Born February 1, 1965, Oakland, California, United States. Died March 31, 1993, Wilmington, North Carolina, United States. Brandon Bruce Lee was an American actor and martial artist. Establishing himself as a rising action star in the early 1990s, he landed his breakthrough role as Eric Draven in the dark fantasy film The Crow. Lee's life and career, however, were cut short by his accidental death during The Crow's production. Cynthia Rothrock. Born March 8, 1957, Wilmington, Delaware, United States. Cynthia and Christine Rothrock is an American martial artist and actress in martial arts films. Rothrock holds black belt rankings in 7 styles of martial arts, and was a high-level competitor in martial arts before becoming an actress. Jet Li. Born April 26, 1963, Beijing, China. Li Lianjie, better known by his stage name Jet Li, is a Chinese film actor, film producer, martial artist, and retired wushu champion. He is a naturalized Singaporean citizen. He is widely regarded as one of the most iconic Chinese film stars and one of the most renowned martial arts stars of his generation. Matthias Hughes. Born February 14, 1959, Waltrop, Germany. Matthias Hughes is a German-born, naturalized American actor and martial artist. Dolph Lundgren. Born November 3, 1957, Spånga, Sweden. Hans Dolph Lundgren is a Swedish actor, filmmaker, and martial artist. His breakthrough came in 1985, when he starred in Rocky IV as the imposing Soviet boxer Ivan Drago. Since then, Lundgren has starred in more than 80 films, most of them in the action genre. Jeff Speakman. Born November 8, 1958, Chicago, Illinois, United States. Jeff Speakman is an American actor and a martial artist in the art of American Kenpo and Japanese Goju-Ryu, earning black belts in each. Between 2008 and 2018, he was president of the International Kenpo Federation. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Born October 18, 1960, Sint-Agatha-Berchem, Belgium. Jean-Claude Camille Francois van Varenberg, known professionally as Jean-Claude Van Damme, is a Belgian actor, martial artist, filmmaker, and fight choreographer. Credited with helping popularize martial arts in film, Van Damme is widely regarded as one of the most iconic martial arts action stars of all time. Sho Kosugi. Born June 17, 1948, Minato City, Tokyo, Japan. Sho Kosugi is a Japanese actor, martial artist and writer with extensive training in Shindo Jinrin-ryu karate, kendo, judo, aido, kabuto, aikido and ninjutsu. A former All-Japan karate champion, he gained popularity as an actor during the 1980s, often playing ninjas. Richard Norton. Born January 6, 1950, Australia. Richard Norton is an Australian martial artist, stuntman and actor. After high school, Norton worked as a bodyguard in the entertainment business before pursuing an acting career. He has attained a 10th degree in Zendu Kai, Australia. Michael Jai White. Born November 10, 1967, Brooklyn, New York, United States. Michael Jai White is an American actor, director and martial artist. He was the first African American to portray a major comic book superhero in a major motion picture, starring as Al Simmons, the protagonist in the 1997 film Spawn. Chuck Norris. Born March 10, 1940, Ryan, Oklahoma, United States. Carlos Ray, Chuck Norris is an American martial artist and actor. He is a black belt in Tang Soo Do, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. After serving in the United States Air Force, Norris won many martial arts championships and later founded his own discipline Chun Kuk Do. Don the Dragon Wilson. Born September 10, 1954, Alton, Illinois, United States. Donald Glenn Wilson, nicknamed The Dragon, is an American martial artist, film actor, and former professional kickboxer. An 11-time world champion who scored 47 knockouts in 4 decades, he has been called by the Star System ratings as perhaps the greatest kickboxer in American history. Scott Adkins. Born June 17, 1976, Birmingham. Scott Edward Adkins is a British actor, film producer and martial artist. He is best known for his role as the Russian prison fighter Yuri Boyka in the Undisputed franchise. Steven Seagal. Steven Frederick Seagal is an American martial artist, movie actor, producer, writer, guitarist and former reserve deputy sheriff. Seagal began his adult life as an Aikido instructor in Japan. He became the first foreigner to have an Aikido dojo in Japan. He later moved to Los Angeles, California. There he made several movies. Under Siege brought him the most fame. Credited with popularizing Aikido in film, Seagal is considered an important figure in the development and popularization of martial arts in the West. Jason Statham. Born July 26, 1967, Shirebrook. Jason Statham is an English actor. He is known for portraying characters in various action thriller films who are typically tough, hard-boiled, gritty, or violent. Statham began practicing Chinese martial arts, kickboxing, and karate recreationally in his youth while working at local market stalls. Iko Uwais. Born February 12, 1983, Jakarta, Indonesia. Uwais Corny, known professionally as Iko Uwais, is an Indonesian actor, stuntman, fight choreographer, and martial artist. He is best known for acting in the action films Merantau, The Raid 2, Headshot, Mile 22, The Night Comes for Us, Stuber and the Netflix series Wu Assassins. Tony Jaa. Born February 5, 1976, Surin, Thailand. Tachakorn Yiram, better known internationally as Tony Jaa and in Thailand as Jaa Phantom, is a Thai martial artist, actor, action choreographer, stuntman, director, and tracer. His films include Ong Bak, Muay Thai Warrior, Tom Yum Goong, Ong Bak 2, The Beginning, Furious 7 and SBL 2, A Time for Consequences. Mark Dacascos. Born February 26, 1964, Honolulu, Hawaii, United States. Mark Allen Dacascos is an American actor and martial artist. He won numerous karate and kung fu championships between the ages of 7 and 18. And now some videos from other agents on YouTube.
What's up, fiends? Alucard here, and I'm here for my top 10 martial arts mayhem. So let's get right to it, shall we? Number 10, I have Hero from 2002. This one stars Jet Li, Tony Leung, Donnie Yen, Maggie Chung, and Zhang Zi. This one's about a nameless official who ends up killing three high-powered assassins. So he gets summoned for an audience with the king to tell his tale. Of course, it's Jet Li is the main guy. And yeah, this movie is just beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's action-packed. The fight scenes are great. Anytime you get Jet Li versus Donnie Yen, I'm all there for it. All right, so just to warn you, a lot of my picks are kind of nostalgia-based. So they're not really like, oh, it's such a great kung fu movie or great martial arts movie. No, it's more like I just love this movie, despite maybe not so good martial arts, I guess. And that includes number 9, The Karate Kid, Part 2. From 1986, of course, the stars Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Tamlin Tomita, and Yuji Okamoto. So this is, of course, Daniel and Mr. Miyagi traveling to Okinawa as Miyagi's father is dying. So Daniel learns more of the history of karate and stuff through his family. It's easily my favorite Karate Kid movie. And I watched this ad nauseum as a kid. So it had to be in my top 10. Number 8, I have Iron Monkey from 1993. It stars Donnie Yen. I had to put Donnie Yen in here a couple of times. Yu Rongwei, a.k.a. Ringo Yu. This one's sort of the Hong Kong version of Robin Hood, as a masked bandit teams up with a physician to battle a traitorous Shaolin monk who's now kind of in charge of a corrupt government. When I saw this in, what year was it, 2001 or something, is when it was released in the States. It had a big theatrical presentation, Quentin Tarantino presents and all this stuff. I was like, oh, what is this craziness? So we went and saw it, and the kung fu action in this movie is so awesome. The ending fight scene with them on the wooden boards is like just freaking mind-blowing. Coming up at number 7, I have The Best of the Best from 1989. This is sort of one of those tournament movies. I love karate tournament movies. I don't know why, but they're my jam. Anyway, this one stars the Ree brothers, Philip and Simon, Eric Roberts, Chris Penn, James Earl Jones, Sally Kirkland, and it's about the U.S. karate team taking on the evil, infamous Korean karate team in a big taekwondo tournament. And of course, all the U.S. guys, at first they kind of, they're all weird and they kind of don't get along, and it's about all that stuff too, and family, and all of that. But again, this was my introduction to the Ree brothers. I have since gone back and watched some of their other stuff. But yeah, really great movie. It's kind of one of those sappy 80s movies, but with a karate tournament twist. At number 6, I have The Last Dragon from 1985. This one, of course, stars Taimak Vanity, Julius Carey as Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, and little, like 10-year-old Ernie Reyes Jr. Yep, he was a badass even then. This, of course, is the story of Leroy Green as he searches for a master to obtain the highest level of martial arts, known as the Glow. This one is just fun. This movie's kind of all about the bad guy, Shonuff, and he's just awesome. He's like the most blaxploitation type of villain ever, and he's so freaking great. One of the best characters ever put on film, no question. At number 5, I have Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bolo Young, Donald Gibb, Leah Aries, all kind of people in it. From 1988, and of course, it is the true story of Frank Dukes going AWOL from the army and entering the deadly Kumite tournament. Again, another tournament movie. Like I said, I'm a sucker for these. But this was my, I don't remember if this was my introduction to Van Damme. It could have been Kickboxer. It was one of the two. I don't remember which one I saw first when I was a kid. Um, but this is, I think, fairly easily my favorite Van Damme movie. This movie has some of the best fight scenes, tournament fight scenes you'll ever see. And Bolo Young, uh, as the bad guy, is just he's just menacing, and he plays it perfectly. So when they finally meet at the end, it's like, yeah. All right, number 4, I have House of Flying Daggers from 2004. This one takes place during the Tang Dynasty, as two like police officer type people are tasked with investigating a blind dancer at this club, and she's rumored to be working with the rebel group House of the Flying Daggers. Now this one's a little different. This one has some dance sequences that are martial artsy, and yeah, it's probably the most visually appealing movie um, in the martial arts world that I've seen. That and Hero, like I said earlier. But Zhang Zi puts on a hell of a performance here. I almost chose Crouching Tiger, but I'm like, everybody's going to choose Crouching Tiger. So I went with House of Flying Daggers, which is just as good. And again, the martial arts in it is just fantastic. And like Zhang Zi, uh, just love her. Number 3, I have Kill Bill Volume 1. Uh, this was the movie that kind of reignited my love for martial arts movies. And it's Uma Thurman, of all people. Yeah, so like just the fight scenes are just so freaking good in this movie. Of course, Tarantino was inspired by many martial arts movies, especially in this movie. And the sword fighting, her against Gogo, uh, just just all of it. The last like 20 something minutes of it in that house fight, that gigantic fight is just brilliant. All right, and my top two. These are definitely my top two, by the way. Like no question, these are the top two martial arts movies I've ever seen in my life, and that will probably never change. Number 2, I have Fist of Legend from 1994, starring the one and only Jet Li. This one's sort of a remake of Fist of Fury, the Bruce Lee movie. It's about a Chinese martial artist, Chen Zhen, and he returns to Shanghai to find his master has been killed, and the school is now being harassed by Japanese. This, along with my number 1, has probably some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in my life. Jet Li is perfect in this movie, and yeah, I do like this better than Fist of Fury. It's a little more well told, and the fight scenes are way better. Now, that being said, my number 1 does include Bruce Lee, and no, it's not the one you're thinking of. My number 1 is The Way of the Dragon, Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris. There is nothing better than that, people. Come on. So if you haven't seen it, this story is about Tang Lung as he goes to Rome to visit relatives that run a restaurant in Italy. However, the restaurant is being harassed to sell their property to a crime syndicate. So, of course, Tang Lung comes to help out and take care of the bad guys. Now, this movie was directed by the one and only Bruce Lee. This is his only fully directed movie that is available because he died, not too long after. But this thing is magnificent. The acting's great. It's kind of cheesy and hammy sometimes, but it totally works with this story. You have to have some levity in it. And there's one character in particular, he's just silly, but it fits. It really does. And everything culminates in the big fight between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris at the end in the Colosseum of Rome. How freaking cool is that? And the fight is magnificent. It is, without a doubt, my favorite fight scene ever put on film. So I had to put this at number 1. no question. I mean, who doesn't? Again, Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris. There can be no other choice for number one. So anyway, I'd like to thank Gareth from Video Tasties uh, for doing this and having me be a part of it. So thanks so much, my friend. So next time, adios, Bella Lugosi.
Live, you are coming with me.
Me.
Nothing is over!
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jason. This is Backtrack Cinema. And when I found out Gareth was doing martial arts mayhem, I had to talk about some of my favorite martial artists. 10 of them. I'm not ranking them so much how much I like them. I couldn't decide, guys. Honestly, I couldn't decide. I love martial arts films. I love action films. So I'm just going to go through 10 guys that mean a lot to me. Some more than others, but this would be impossible to rank a lot of these guys because they're so top tier here. But martial arts genre is just a genre I really like. Sometimes I don't even need a lot of story or character. Just give me some good kick-ass action. But when they do have lots of character to it, it just elevates it. And speaking of that, I'm going to start off with Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is a guy that I think is just completely charismatic. One of the best martial artists as far as the technical aspects is just amazing. His role as Ip Man, the Ip Man movies, I absolutely love. As playing the biographical tale of playing Bruce Lee's teacher of Ip Man. And the first one's my favorite. I mean, that end fight scene he does where he just busts the guy's lungs up. Just amazing. He's done other great films like Flashpoint. Is a seriously great time, man. And it has one of the longest end fights that is just brutal and just chaotic, man. And we see him in Rogue One. He got into the Star Wars universe. He's really good in that too. I think he's got some decent acting chops too. But Donnie Yen's just a really great martial artist that I really like. Keeping along with the D's, I got Dolph Lundgren. I know a lot of people may not look at him as a martial artist, but he is a real martial artist in real life. A karate champion, I believe. And, you know, he's done some classics, man. Classics in the B movie genre, but he's also done like Universal Soldier with Van Damme. Obviously, he got his breakthrough with Rocky IV, which is more boxing, but, you know, Showdown in Little Tokyo is a great one. Army of One is a great one. He hasn't done anything in the last few years, I think, that I've really enjoyed. And prayers to him too, man. Recently, like, he's just letting people know now that he's had cancer, battling cancer for the last 8 years or something like that. So yeah, prayers for Dolph, man. Dolph has always been one of my favorites. He did one called Blackjack with John Woo. That was a really good one where he's this blind dude. That's a really good one. He has a lot of good ones, but there's another one, Skin Trade, is actually really good. There's a lot of other martial artists in there, like Michael J. White is in that. I believe that's the one with Tony Jaa. That's a really good one. Kind of like a Taken kind of plot line, but Dolph, man, it's just, he's funny. He's like your B movie version of Arnold, I guess. I could see him losing a lot of roles to Arnold, you know, same kind of body type. The work he did in Expendables too. I can't forget that. But I love Dolph, man. Dolph's great. Let's move on to some Jean-Claude Van Damme, man. I love Van Damme. Of course, not everything he's done has been spectacular, but he came on the scene with Bloodsport, man. And this Bloodsport is one of my favorite martial arts films. I know a lot of you will probably talk about Van Damme. He's got his popular movies, but there's a couple of these movies that went under the radar, the ones he did when he was a little older, that are actually really good and that you can't stick your nose up at. Like Assassination Games with Scott Adkins is really good, where he plays this sniper. 6 Bullets is fantastic, man. Another kind of Taken plot line where he finds missing children and all these children are stuck on the walls and he didn't know they were there. He blows the place up, so he's got all this guilt and his acting really comes through in this. And then he's got to find a few years later, he gets hired to find a 14-year-old girl who gets kidnapped for the sex slave trade and stuff like that. It's a decent flick. And one called In Hell, where it's like a prison movie where he's not doing fancy taekwondo, karate or nothing. He's doing bare bones, vicious, just, you know, surviving, brawling, gut-wrenching stuff, man. It's just fantastic. So look into those movies because it's really, really good in that. But Van Damme's great. And when he got a chance to play the villain in Expendables 2, that was fantastic. I love me some Van Damme. Moving on to Scott Adkins, another guy who goes straight to DVD, or we're in the digital world now where you just buy everything on video on demand, but he does a lot of great stuff. His franchise is the Undisputed franchise, where he plays Boyka, and Boyka is an awesome character. Undisputed 2, 3, 4, they're all pretty good. The Accident Man, I think, is really good. I love that one, but he's got a ton. Scott Adkins has got a ton of flicks, man. And I'm one of these people who think he'd make a great Batman. The right director who can elevate his acting a bit, you could have a fantastic Batman if you're going for more of a, martial arts style kind of Batman film. I think he could do a really good job. I'll sign that petition, man. I love Scott Adkins. He's got this he can have a real scary look to him, man. Like, I do not want to fuck with you. Great, and a great dude. He's got a podcast called The Art of Action, where he talks to all these action guys. He recently interviewed Keanu Reeves. So great stuff there. Love Scott Adkins. Moving on to Michael Jai White. Probably most of you know him from Spawn. He had a small role in The Dark Knight. Michael Jai White's another one, straight to DVD. He's got some great stuff. He's got one called Blood and Bone. You got to see, like a street fighting flick. It's fantastic. The end fight is fantastic. This guy really knows martial arts, man. He's just an expert, man, and just fantastic films. One called Falcon Rising, I think you can stream. That's really good. He's done the Never Back Down series, not the first one, but the rest of them, like mixed martial arts stuff. Really has a great persona to him too. Very charismatic. I could see this guy back in the day being like one of the villains Rocky would fight. You know what I mean? Like the rebirth of Clubber Lang or something he could really do. But I love Michael Jai White. He's fantastic. Coming next is Jackie Chan, man. How can we not love Jackie Chan? Jackie Chan's hilarious. He brings a lot of comedy and a lot of humor, and a real funny dude to his martial arts. How he does his own stunts and everything is fantastic. So many movies I haven't even seen from this guy, but Rumble in the Bronx is probably my favorite. That's the first one I ever watched from him. I also really like The Foreigner he did. I thought that was a really good flick he did where he was serious. And I thought, I still like the original Karate Kid the best, but that remake, I thought Jackie Chan played a pretty good a Han, I think it was, Master Han or whatever. I thought he was really good in that. He had some good emotional scenes in there. But he's known for that funny guy act with his martial arts, right? And he says, always a good time. You're always going to be entertained from Jackie Chan, for sure. Jet Li. Jet Li is fantastic. I love Jet Li, man. I first saw him in Lethal Weapon 4. My first exposure to him, my cousin, my brother, and I, we all went to see Lethal Weapon 4 in the theater. That one scene where he disarms Riggs with the gun and everything in the blink of an eye was fantastic. But my favorite Jet Li movie is Unleashed. Great movie with a lot of character, great martial arts, where he's treated like a dog through this thing, right? Where he's just trained to attack people for this gangster guy, played by Bob Hoskins, who's really good in this too. Morgan Freeman's in this. I mean, you can't go wrong with this flick. Like I said, you add character and story to a martial arts film, you're elevating it, and this one really elevates. I also love him in The One. I like when he joins up with Statham a lot in The War and Expendables. Great chemistry between him and Statham always, man. But Jet Li, fantastic. Love him. Speaking of Jason Statham, or Statham, however you say the guy's fucking name, he's awesome though. This is a guy, Jason Statham, that I love. More of kickboxing kind of guy, more like action films. But, he's definitely a martial artist, I would say. A guy who trains hard, really works hard for his roles, gets in shape and everything. And he's one of the guys that if I ever go to a theater by myself and watch a Jason Statham movie, grounds for divorce in my house. My wife loves this guy for different reasons, obviously. Real tough guy look. I can't blame her. The bald guys, man. The bald guys. Hey, man, I'm no Statham, that's for sure. I love this guy's movies, though, man. This guy's movies is really good. One that's Homefront's really good, but one obviously the Transporter series, the Crank series. I don't really like the second one, but the first Crank I really like. Such a unique film. One I really liked was Safe. Safe may be my favorite between that and Crank. I think Safe is absolutely an amazing film, a great little martial arts film, action film with a great relationship between this young Chinese girl and Jason Statham. And good themes in there about not giving up on your life and stuff like that too. But Jason Statham is really good, man. I know he's had a kid and he's married, and I don't see him doing stuff like he used to. I know there's some stuff out there, but I really like Jason Statham, man. I think he's fantastic. And more recently, the Wrath of Man, I think it's called. I thought he was just so intimidating in that movie, but I love this guy. I go on Jason Statham marathons all the time, man. I love most of his stuff. And I think his acting's come a long way in recent years. All right, there's only two left, and let's just get these two out of the way. Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. I mean, Chuck Norris, man, is absolutely, if I had to rank them, he probably is my favorite. I love Chuck Norris films. Even if they're not very good films, watching him just kick ass, there's nobody I'd rather see to get revenge in a movie than Chuck Norris, man. And Lone Wolf McQuade is probably my favorite. Seeing Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee go at it in Return of the Dragons, fantastic. One of the most iconic fight scenes ever. And Chuck Norris is, this is look too, the very blue collar, greasy kind of freaking guys always got their big beard on. The Chuck Norris jokes that come out, they're fantastic. I love this guy. But, like Missing in Action movies, Lone Wolf McQuade, The Octagon, so many great movies. The Delta Force, Invasion USA, the list goes on and on. We're in the 80s with Canon Films and stuff. Just fantastic. I love Chuck Norris. What more can we say about this guy? He just breeds tough guy. I mean, no fucking pussies allowed. You watch Chuck Norris, we're getting together with the guys, drink some fucking beer, have some pizza, and watch some Chuck. Love it. Love it. Bruce Lee, man. I mean, obviously Bruce Lee is paved the way for martial arts in North America here, and did so much for martial arts. He has to be here. Of course he does. If not, he should be number one on all lists, really, but it depends what we like, right? He didn't have many films, man. He died so young. His son died young. Brandon Lee's another one, just really, really liked. But Bruce Lee, man, just, so charismatic. And, there's no strings on what he was doing. There was no special effects back then. He was fast, man, and the power he had, how he developed his own style of martial arts, and he could be a really funny dude too, I think. Maybe not deliberately funny, but this the way he just go, woo, 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 woo. You know what I mean? Just you've dishonored my family. It's just awesome. And man, what a short life, but he did so much for the world, man, with martial arts. Just how many people have been touched by this guy, or who have learned martial arts and went on to have super careers, or gone to be, black belt and martial arts and everything he brought. You know what I mean? It's just awesome, man. What else can you say about Bruce Lee? The guy is a legend, just an absolute legend, man. But those are top 10 martial artists for me, guys. I love all these guys. I love their flicks. Thank you, Gareth, for having me on for this. And, I'm excited to watch this video when it's done and seeing all the other content creators talking about these martial artists. My name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers. 课程到此结束。